Well, Advocate Bayethe Maswazi is a member of the Bisho Society of Advocates, also a former president of the Black Lawyers Association, speaking here, as I understand it, for himself. Mr. Maswazi, sir, good afternoon to you and thank you for your time. Firstly, do you support the candidature of Deputy Chief Justice Maya? Do you think she's the right person to be Chief Justice of South Africa? Mr. Maswazi, sir, you're on television. I was asking if you support Judge Mandisa Maya's candidature to be Chief Justice.
Definitely. You will recall, Steve, that he was the one preferred by the JSC in 2022 after a rigorous interview. And I do not recall any constituency that had an adverse comment against her. And it does seem that all the voices of South Africa converged around her. And so is the case even this time. I have not had any adverse comments against her.
She has her own track record as a lawyer, as a judge, as the president of the Supreme Court of Appeal, as a deputy chief justice. But her identity is also important because she would be our first woman chief justice in a profession where we've seen, really a domination by men. Do you think this will bring more women to the profession? Would we finally be able to stop calling the law a profession of fraternity and start calling it a sorority instead?
Hopefully, and that is the reason why women have to be elevated to positions where they can take control of the institutions, so that consistent with the demographic value in the population profile of the country, we must have more women in powerful positions. It is hoped that she will definitely pull more women into the judiciary. But what has to be done is actually expanding the pool of those that are appointable through various programs, including ensuring that women attorneys, advocates are exposed to better quality work as a preparatory program towards them being elevated to the bench and ultimately to judicial leadership.
She spoke particularly about protecting the independence of the judiciary. Is there any particular direction you think the judiciary may need some leadership to go in, any particular direction or any particular issues that you think it may need to look at while she is presumably the leader, and she would be there for about 10 years?
There's a lot, Stephen. You will recall that in subsequent to the interview in 2022, there was some concern about how the JSC functions. And as the chair of the JSC in that position as the Chief Justice, there is an expectation that she will have to do something about it in order to ensure that certain problems which emanated from that interview are actually solved, such as, for instance, the code of conduct for the members of the commission, and also some protocols insofar as how the JSC functions. The second part is that the performance by the JSC of this other function, namely the advice it gives to the government in respect of other matters that relates to the judiciary and the transformation of the judiciary. The JSC has not really played that part, and the expectation is that she will use her position for the next 10 years to make sure that she asserts the role of the JSC in that area as well. You would have seen that during the interview, there was the interview actually looked like a conference of various stakeholders within the legal profession, because she had to field questions in relation to problems in the judiciary, and those being highlighted by quite a number of other participants. And she will have to attend to those. The shortage of judges in some courts, which has resulted in matters taking too long to reach the trial. The training that the judges are exposed to, and a number of other issues that were highlighted during the interview. So there's an expectation that she will attend to those as well.
It seems amazing to me. She's spoken about it today. I think former Deputy Chief Justice Tshekang Moseneke has mentioned it. Others, you might have mentioned it. Others have mentioned it. That the number of judges has just not increased while our population has increased. And you, obviously, as you need more people, as you have more people, you need more judges. I mean, has the Justice Minister been a bit asleep here?
Possibly. I don't think there is a plan in place in the executive part or even in the legislative part of our government to ensure that at every given moment they are attentive to these dynamics that we are highlighting, namely, for instance, the increase in when the population increases. It means courts have to deal with more cases as a result of that, and therefore courts have to be built. And if you are to increase the number of judges, you have to increase the office space that is available. You have to increase also the number of courts, because it will not help you to increase only the number of judges if those judges will not have space to conduct what they are supposed to do in the form of courts. So it speaks a lot of message to the executive and perhaps the parliament in its role, in its oversight role, insofar as the increase in population.
I must ask you, sir, about the organisation you used to be the president of, the Black Lawyers Association. They played a very small part in yesterday's Constitutional Court ruling that former President Jacob Zuma is not eligible to be a member of Parliament. The BLA said that all of the judges involved in the ruling that sentenced Zuma to jail should recuse themselves from yesterday's case. You're no longer the president of the BLA, of course, but, I mean, did you believe the BLA was right to argue that in court?
Sorry, Steve, I would not comment about that, and I don't want to because I'm not representing the BLA here, and I don't want to judge insofar as it performs its role. As you know, I'm no longer the president, and I did not form part of the decision making insofar as that is concerned. And I would like to leave it there, Steve.
I appreciate you not wanting to rule from the grave. If I get another chance, I'll probably try again anyway. I do want to ask about issues around transformation, just while we're on sort of this issue. And we've seen that the law profession, sorority, hopefully one day, has really not been moving very quickly. And one of the things that, I mean, is still amazing is you'll often see a politician, a black politician, choosing a white lawyer to represent them. For you, is that still a problem?
It is still a problem. As you know, quite recently, we had to deal with an issue of a judge who was moved to comment about that and do something about it. And he fell into all sorts of attacks, and unwarranted, of course. So that highlights the issue that is still a problem. And the deeper we drive the consciousness within the South African populace that they are entitled to good judges, but those good judges do not emanate out of, they are not a hazard of nature. They are made through the quality fair briefing patterns that we have been calling for. So there is a public interest element to the problem of skewed briefing patterns. So the sooner we solve that problem, and it is easy to solve that problem, the better for us to get better equipped judges and ensuring that finally we have a fully fledged, transformed judiciary that the South African Constitution is calling for.
Bayethe Maswazi, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the time. Member of the Bisho Society of Activists, speaking for himself, but also a past president of the Black Lawyers Association.